little dog.
Hello, I'm Monsignor Charles Minor.
And I'm Pat Shelton. Our Janie is sick with the flu, so it's just us this week on Reel to Reel.
And I'm glad we're here, Pat.
Me too.
It's a nice way to begin the new year together. There's a lot of nice things to begin about the new year, and one is a special kind of reflections. We're going to talk to you today with Father Bob Curtis, who has grown more and more into our love and enthusiasms. Bob has a lot to tell us about light for this new year.
And my very special guest is the Most Reverend Stephen Sulik, the Metropolitan Archbishop for the Ukrainian Catholic Church. And we're going to be discussing the recent historical changes between the Soviet Union and the Vatican and how it will affect religious freedom for Ukrainians living in the Soviet bloc.
More than this, Pat, we have some wonderful things to talk about light and darkness and violence in the streets. And we talk about so much violence and darkness around us, but it's God, authority, and law. And it's wonderful to know and be able to pray to say, those are my cops.
Outright lawlessness reigns throughout some of America's neighborhoods, an average of a murder a day. 20 years ago, men, women, and children were murdered needlessly in the Vietnam War. And today, TV and newspapers bring us live another war. It's called gang warfare. But this time, the battles are taking place within the hearts of our major cities. From the murder capital, Washington, D.C., to gangland Los Angeles, in city after city, gang members shoot it out to command street corners. Children grow up under a reign of gang terror, and civil authority is basically broken down. The extent and nature of these combat zones vary. But in most major cities, police have had to set up crash units to deal with gang control and abolishment. Still, as the problem escalates, more and more innocent people are caught in gang crossfire, even those who are hired to serve and protect. Officer Curtis Woodall has been on the LAPD crash unit for almost 5 years. And like most law enforcement officers, he is concerned about safety on the job.
Yes, I'm a daddy. And that's one of the highlights of my life. You know, I can take off that policeman hat and come home and be a father to my daughter and be a husband to my wife. And that's important to me. That's very important to me. And it helps me to stabilize myself. You know, it keeps me in check, where I don't become a man with a gun and a badge who 24 hours a day. My wife, being a police woman, she understands that, you know, that anxiety and the fact that, you know, you feel threatened when you go out there. There's some concerns. You know, you might not make it back.
Still, Officer Woodall is proud to be a policeman. He grew up in South Central Los Angeles, so being on the gang force unit was a natural for him.
Ready?
He understands his community.
There are 3 subjects headed toward Division Fred Myers. They have a shotgun in a blue bag of some kind.
I really think that to solve this problem that we have now, it's going to take experienced officers to go out there and deal with the gang members that are not afraid to attack the problem with hope, and also be able to communicate. You know, every gang member, to me, is not a gang member. So some are wannabes, and some who I identify as not having like an older brother or father at the moment. I might choose one of those roles to communicate with that person, as if to say, hey, I'm reaching out to you. You know, reach out to me. You know, let's talk.
But sometimes reaching out doesn't work. Urban crime is so dangerous in war zone areas that every day police officers risk their lives as they try to enforce the law.
I don't really foresee myself as a hero. I like going out there, getting my job done. And if that job becomes where I have to become a big brother or father type image, then so be it. I'm locking up the ones that should be locked up. I zoom in on gang members, whether they're driving down the street, walking, or doing some type of gang activity. I zoom right in there. I become a different person.
Every day, there are haunting pictures of the dead being carried off in body bags, of angry, grieving families, of burned-out cars and the flash of gunfire, of armed gangs and wounded children.
I look at it, that could be my family member there. You go out there one day and you go to this drive-by shooting and you see this 7-year-old or this 8-year-old or a mother of an 8-year-old. And it becomes personal. It becomes personal to you. You want to reach out and touch that family and say, hey, everything will be all right. Or you just become a part of the scene. You come home and you change because you realize that your family's here. You want nothing in the world to happen to them. You try and enjoy that. And you go out and do it again. My wife and myself, we have certain little prayers we say to each other. And I mean, I know it's someone over us and looking down and saying, you know, those are my cops, and I know they're out there to do a job, and I'm going to look over them. And, they've been trained, and I trained them. I believe that. You know, I believe that God sent certain individuals to come down and become cops. But when you're out there chasing and running, I mean, you know, they don't identify you as a Christian. They just think you're a cop trying to catch them. You never know what's going to happen. You never know if you're around the corner from a drive-by or a 211 in progress or just somebody who's setting you up to want to take you out. The dangers exist every time you step in that unit, that police car, and hey, snap on that badge and gun. You're a target.
When one reads about fatalities in the war zones, the majority of deaths are usually children and teenagers. But we cannot ignore the men and women who struggle every day to correct the sins of urban crime. Although guided by God's wisdom, police officers can't help but question their own mortality every time they turn their back.
Okay, you understand you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be abused against you in the court of law.
When experiencing and dealing with violence, it's pretty hard to keep faith on the streets, Pat.
God bless him, and God bless all the wonderful policemen like him. And we'll have some more wonderful people for you to meet as we come right back after this message.
You are cordially invited to join the Reel-to-Reel crew as they travel through Switzerland, Austria, and Germany, gearing up for the most dramatic event staged on the European continent, the Passion Play, a world-famous tribute to the life of Christ. At Oberammergau, you will witness live on an enormous stage the events that actually happened to Jesus during his week of Passion, performed by a cast of over 1,000 professionals. This once-in-a-lifetime religious experience brings the Passion of our Lord before your very eyes. Included in your tour package is round-trip air transportation, 14 nights deluxe hotel accommodations, and daily breakfast and dinner. You will enjoy such sightseeing tours as a beautiful cruise along the Rhine River and truly experience the culture and folklore of Europe throughout your 16-day itinerary. This spectacular trip is scheduled for July 26 through August 10, 1990. Don't hesitate to reserve your seat for the Passion Play at Oberammergau because tickets are limited. All persons traveling with the Reel-to-Reel crew will receive as a bonus a 1-hour videotape capturing the memories of your trip. For more information, please call 215-587-3775.
Now we have the great pleasure to meet the Most Reverend Stephen Sulik, the Metropolitan Archbishop for the Ukrainian Catholic Church. Welcome to Real, Archbishop.
Thank you.
Now, as most of us know, we have seen a historic meeting between Pope John Paul II and Gorbachev of the Soviet Union. And in that historic meeting, I believe that Gorbachev has guaranteed religious freedom in the Soviet Union. How do you assess this, Your Excellency?
If this, what Gorbachev promised the Holy Father, comes true and is implemented, this meeting can be compared to the Edict of Milan in 313, when Constantine the Great gave freedom to Christians. After 70-some years of denying God's existence and persecuting Christians and preaching that religion is opium of the people, the same people came to realize what Scripture has claimed long ago, that fool says in his heart, there is no God. And I hope and pray that they realize that and they will give freedom to all believers in the Soviet Union.
Now, as we were discussing prior to this interview, you told me that the religious freedom was on the books, in part of the Constitution.
Their Constitution is almost like United States Constitution, but they never implemented it. Mm-hmm. They passed laws contrary to their Constitution, forbidding the teaching of religion, forbidding the teaching of religion to children, forbidding children to attend churches. And anybody that would practice religion would not be able to go to higher education or to have a state job, would be persecuted.
And so now, in the aftermath of this meeting, we're hoping to see this religious freedom come to pass. Now, the Ukrainian Catholic Church has been one of the most severely depressed institutions in Russia. And their old foes, the Russian Orthodox Church, has been the recipient of some of the institutions, some of the buildings, the churches that belong to the Ukrainian Catholic Church. And now I understand that there may be a problem in getting them, the Russian Orthodox Christians, to return the property to the Ukrainian Catholics. Is this going to lead to some sort of violence?
I don't believe so. Ukrainian Catholics have professed their Catholic faith openly for the last 2 years, and they have come from underground for 40 years. Mm-hmm. They kept on believing and practicing their faith in catacombs, modern catacombs. Now they came out to the streets in great masses by hundreds of thousands to demonstrate their Catholic faith, but they are not practicing violence. They will demand that their churches, which were taken from them by force in 1946, would be returned to them. Their seminaries, the bishops' and priests' residences, and church properties should be returned to them. Restitution should be made. Of course, our Russian Orthodox brothers will oppose that, but we will not use violence.
And your prediction for the long run, Archbishop?
The more they resist giving the church properties to our people, the stronger will Catholics get, and the more will Russian Orthodox people lose their priests and their faithful to the Catholic Church.
All right. The Ukrainian Catholic Church lives in the Soviet Union.
It does.
Now, we are going to ask for donations, if possible, for the Ukrainian Catholics to buy church equipment. And later on in the program, we'll give you an address where you may send your donation. I want to thank you so much, Archbishop, for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, coming up next, Joe O'Neill's Vintage VCR. Usually I know Joe's movies, but this week he selected a film that I'm not familiar with, but looks very exciting. Joe?
Intelligence is God's unique gift to man, but do we really use it to see the value of the other gifts he gives us? How are we using our keen perceptions to really understand God's role in nature? Intelligence can turn to arrogance when man pursues the human adventure carelessly. Day after day, we attempt to use nature to our benefit: coal, oil, animals for food and fur. You'll see what I mean if you rent a movie called Never Cry Wolf, available on Walt Disney Home Video. It's the picturesque tale of a scientist alone in the icy Arctic wilderness, studying the eating habits of Arctic wolves. Into his isolation come wolf trappers to exploit the land. In this scene from Never Cry Wolf, actor Charles Martin Smith happens upon wolf cubs. Their mother has been killed by trappers.
Get away!
Never Cry Wolf exposes the wonders of nature created by God and the underbelly of man's desire to not only explore it, but to exploit and damage it. Today, man's plan for nature is not God's plan. The United States Catholic Conference rates the film fine for adults and adolescents. This is Vintage VCR. I'm Joe O'Neill.
That Joe O'Neill has piqued your interest, Pat, because I'll never cry wolf again, I'm sure.
Yeah, that looks really good. Okay, there's more good things coming up for you. Why don't you stay with us on Reel to Reel?
To aid Ukrainian Catholics in the Soviet Union, send your donation to Ukrainian Catholic Church, care of the Chancery, 827 North Franklin Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19123.
First, we'll take a ride in the car, all right?
Why don't you take this gentleman next?
Lady, you just made my day.
Go ahead. Make someone's day. With love.
We welcome your comments and suggestions and encourage you to write us at Reel to Reel, 222 North 17th Street, room 907, Philadelphia 19103, or call us during regular business hours at 215-668-9842. Okay, what's up next, Monsignor?
Oh, plenty of interesting things next. Leo Patillo and Father Bob Curtis. They're really dissimilar people, but maybe not so. Leo Patillo comes at us with music from outer space, wants to be our friend, and Bob Curtis has something special to tell us, so that if you want me to be your friend, and I'm to be your friend, then I have to show you where the light is.
since the world began. I have even visited you and walked upon your land. I have known your leaders down through history. Some have made the effort to communicate with me. Please come. I am not alien. This is love calling. Please come. I want to be your friend. I don't want to harm you. It's the last thing on my mind. I just want to share my love with all of mankind. When your heart is broken and the world has been unkind, I'll pick up the pieces and I'll give you peace of mind. Scientists are seeking immortality. Astronauts are searching the skies for our destiny. It's not complicated what this planet needs. Love is still the answer to life's mystery. Earth people, please come in. I am not alien. This is love calling. Please come in. I want to be your friend. Earth people.
In 1 Samuel, the Lord says, "Not as man sees does God see. Because man sees the appearance, but the Lord looks into the heart." As we prepare to receive Christ into our lives, we are to judge not the appearance of ourselves, but the hearts of ourselves. And in the heart, the depth and soul of you, how much light is there? That's the question. What is the source of your power, and how much light does it give you? When God looks deep into us, what does he look for? Light. Because light seeks light. St. Paul says in Ephesians, "Be children of light." In our world, the armies of the night advance. There is deepening darkness all around us. It's reflected, if darkness can be reflected, in our literature, in our ethics, our priorities, our governance, even on our highways, especially on our highways. Doesn't it seem to you that more people are driving nasty these days? I read bumper stickers. I remember two from this week. One said, "I will not smile until the world says it's sorry." And the one, which is my favorite, said, "I've no idea what I'm doing out of bed." Anyway, that's kind of an aside. The road gets rougher, lonelier, and tougher. The armies of the night are advancing in our time. But before the discovery of fire in the world, prehistoric people had a desperate fear of the dark. Our fear of a world without light should be even greater than theirs, because modern human beings have lost the physical survival skills of prehistoric people. Without electricity, and God help us, without fire, we would all be huddling in the corner at sunset, terrified. But still, the real darkness in our world is of our own making. One of the greatest examples of dark behavior in our time, I believe, is the recent Wall Street scandal. Because it was all about greed, and greed is one thing that cannot stand the light. But before there can be light among people, there has to be light within people. Where do we find it? Where do we find this light? How do we increase what light we have? Well, the answer is in John 9, where Jesus says, I am the light of the world. Now, the degree to which we allow him to be within us determines how much light we have as a people and as individual persons. And we need that light. Now, let me close with an Irish blessing for you about light. May the blessing of light be on you, light without and light within. May the blessed sunlight shine on you and warm your heart like a great peat fire, so that the stranger may come and warm himself at it, and also a friend. And may the light shine out of the two eyes of you, like a candle set in two windows of a house, bidding the wanderer to come in out of the storm. Light. Let there be light.
Father Bob Curtis. Monsignor, I just want to remind everyone that the Ukrainian Catholic Church in the Soviet Union has great needs. Please contact the Reel to Reel office to find out how you can help.
Help, please. Until then, goodbye and God bless you.
Good night.
Travel arrangements for Reel to Reel by Atkinson and Mullen, Newtown Square, PA, 215-359-5980.